Hey, Ray.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Busy week this week. Lots of news.
Very busy. Very busy. Sad. Anger. Lot of stuff happened this week, Ray. Still happening.
Well, we see the world united for the most part, with some exceptions. You've got some bad people in the world. You've got some bad countries in the world. Um, you've got people like Chinese government, the Indian government, sitting on their hands, uh, appeasing a dictator, and we just it's terrible to see. But busy show tonight. We're going to get to a lot. Obviously, Ukraine's the focus of the show, as it has been for a lot of media this week, most media this week. Um, Busy things. We got a lot to talk about today, but right off the jump, let's talk about we're the Long Island show, so we're a political show that covers a little bit of everything, but the heart of our show is our community, right? The Long Island community that really encompasses Long Island, maybe a little bit of the city and stuff like that. But long story short, public service announcement. I'm fortunate to have some dear friends, truly amazing people, Lenny and Francine who Goldstein, who are dear friends of mine. They live close to me in the South Shore. I've gotten to know them over the course of the last few years through our political events and so forth. They are just the best people, genuine people. I love them both dearly, and the reason why I mention that is because Francine has been doing, and Lenny have been doing something for now 38 years, I believe, in honor of a friend of theirs who passed away from AIDS. And I think we sometimes forget about what a epidemic that's been, and obviously in light of COVID and so forth. But it's still something that people are dealing with and suffering from. And Francine has made this her mission over the course of 38 years, as a tribute to a friend of hers who passed away, unfortunately. And every year she raises a tremendous amount of money. I think she's closing in on $800,000, which is really a testament to her fortitude and her resilience. And it's beautiful to see because it's a friend keeping a word to a friend. So I implore everybody to please contribute to Francine's cause. And Mike, if we can bring up that graphic, there we go.
That's the website. I'll put the address on there too, down in the comments.
I think I said 34 years. I think there's a 38 years. I think it is 38 years. But you can see it's been a tremendous amount of time. And Mike is posting the link onto our page. And it's one of the easiest calls I get every year when I speak to Francine about this because it's a no-brainer. Whatever you can afford to give, please give. It's a very, very good cause. And as I said, I love Francine and Lenny dearly, and I will always be supportive of them. So great friends of mine.
Yeah, and if the link doesn't work for some reason, just copy and paste it into your browser, but it should work just by clicking it. So
I promise, Mike, I promise Francine, I'm going to get you to contribute this year as well. So
that's right. Yes, exactly.
Okay, so moving on. Let's bring in we have a guest host tonight, Mike, right? We have Arthur with us.
We do. We have Arthur. Let's try Arthur. Let's bring him and see if he has his audio. Arthur, you there? Yeah, I still can't hear him, Ray. Can you?
No, unfortunately not.
Right. Okay. I'm going to put you back there, Arthur. I don't know if you go into your mic settings, try to tap on it, see if your green bar is going up and down. And
yeah, worst case scenario, Arthur, if you have to use your phone, and if we have to do it that way, we'll do it that way.
Okay.
All right, so let's put Arthur back in. Let's bring in our first guest, Mike. She's somebody who I know very well. Galina and I used to work together up until very recently. And I've been speaking to her over the course of the last few days, mostly by messenger and stuff, regarding the events in Ukraine. Let's bring in Galina and she'll tell her story, but let's go.
Hello, Galina.
Hello, Galina.
Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Good. Well, in the course of the last events, good is very subjective word these days.
Yes.
So, Galina, you were born and raised in Ukraine?
Yes, I was born and raised in Ukraine. I came to the States when I was 17. I'm 37 now, so half of my life I was living there.
Galina, I'm sorry, can I ask, when you say Ukraine, before all this happened, a lot of Americans didn't even know where Ukraine was on the map.
Correct. Because
where about in Ukraine were you from? You don't have to be too specific, but were you part of the capital, or were you on the outskirts, or?
Well, my mom is from the West and my dad is from the East. When I was born in the East. So half of my life I was living in the East, and then I came to West because I was studying there. Mm-hmm. before coming to States. So I am lucky because I have opportunity to compare mentality of people from the east of Ukraine and west of Ukraine. And it's a little bit different because Eastern people, they are more oriented towards like Russia, towards that region. And Western, they are more oriented towards Europe, Poland, those countries. That's why it was like issue always with language, with culture, with all this stuff,
Galina, do you still have family in Ukraine?
I do. I have my brother, my younger brother. He got married recently. He has a child there, 1 year old. I have my grandma, my uncles, my aunts, a lot.
And Mike, I can tell you firsthand, having worked with Galina, there was nothing more that she enjoyed than sharing photos of her brother and the baby. And,
yeah, he just started walking, by the way.
That's terrific. How are they doing?
Well, they forced to go to the basements at night because of the sirens and because of the fear. And all the people that are going to the basements, they are not sure when they're going to come back. Their house is still going to be there.
It's unbelievable. Now, were they prepared? I mean, I don't know how anyone can actually prepare for something like this.
You cannot be prepared. You cannot be prepared for this. It's something that everybody's in shock. We all I begin my morning with texting everybody if everybody's okay.
It just seems like when you explain the East and the West, I didn't know that there was a big discrepancy, because I know the East was sort of very close to the Russia border, and some of them consider themselves Russians, I guess, right, towards the East.
No, it's a big mistake. They were never considered themselves Russians. They were always Ukrainians.
Okay.
That's a big mistake that a lot of people have right now. Right. They're always Ukrainians. The only thing is they were speaking Russian because
that's it.
Russian language was the primary language there.
Okay, so there's no occupied area that belongs to Russia that is in Ukraine on the east?
Well, right now, as you know, Crimea is occupied by Russia.
Right.
So right now it's Russia. Before war started, they also occupied my region, I was born, is Donbass, Donetsk, and Lugansk.
Right. But the mistake, Galina, correct me if I'm wrong, but the mistake that people make is that Americans make, other people make, is that we assume because they speak Russian in Ukraine that they're naturally Russian. But just like the United States, we speak English and we're not part of England. I mean, we're another country.
Exactly. That's why I even have Ray knows my fiance, right? So right now I also have a fight with him because he came to the States when Ukraine was still part of Soviet Union. Right. So he never knew Ukraine as being, democratic and independent country. So, and his language was always Russian. He doesn't speak Ukrainian. He doesn't even understand, I have to translate all the time for him when we watch the shows or TV or anything, because he understands, but he cannot speak. So, yeah.
Let me ask you a question, because this is something I've been thinking about for the last week or so. We identify this terrible tragedy. We blame it on Putin, right? Rightfully so. My personal opinion is that, the only way that we can effectuate change that's going to get rid of him is for the Russian people to do that on their own. My question to you is, are you angry at Russia or Putin or both?
I cannot be angry with Russia because I have friends in Russia. My best friend lives in Moscow, and I went there past October of this 2021.
Yep.
And I cannot be mad at my friend because she has, crazy president and crazy government that invades my country. And this is a lot of people have confusions with, because they read this official news, so-called, and listen to all this brainwashing stories. But it's actually the government, not the people.
Right. And that's such a great, it's an amazing answer, because I think it's easy in this moment to be angry at everybody. And what Galina is saying is
when somebody's coming to your house, killing your kids, taking your rooms, it's very hard to keep sanity and not to be mad and not to hate anybody. But We have to, because otherwise we're gonna become them.
Yeah. And they were saying too, some of the news just every minute you look at the screen, there's something else new. But they were saying that convoy that was stopped northeast of the capital there, a lot of the Russian soldiers are, destroying their own vehicles on purpose because they don't want to go in there and fight because they feel like they're the same people.
A lot of them are surrendering. And if you guys, I don't know if you watch, well, I understand you cannot watch a lot of Russian news because you don't speak the language, but I don't watch official sources because it's all like brainwashing bullshit. I'm sorry, my language.
Right.
But what I know, when they talk about news and about we destroyed this tank, we destroyed this rocket, but they never say how many people were killed.
Right.
They never say it. And I know this information. It's 9,000 Russian soldiers as of now.
Right.
So every day some mom receives the notice, or even that doesn't even receive the notice.
Now, Galina, I've been wanting to ask you. It seems like the world has really fallen in love with President Zelensky. You, as somebody who grew up in Ukraine and your family there, what are your thoughts on him? The job that he's been doing?
Well, I'm not a politician, as I said to Ray. If you guys are going to ask me political questions, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to give you right answer to this. But as of now, we're all proud of him because he stood up, and the way he behaves, the way he's doing everything, nobody else, could do it. Because the other president that we had before, I have very high doubts that it would be the same situation now.
Yeah, Galina, let me ask you, because you see him in the streets fighting with everybody. You see the camaraderie there and the bravery there. But how can you, even if you have 100 people with rifles, how are you going to be able to fight off a Russian jet that's dropping bombs? I mean, what would you like to see? Would you like to see a no-fly zone imposed? I know it's getting a little political, but what kind of help are the people on the streets looking for?
Well, no-fly zone would be much better because they wouldn't fly and bombard innocent people and people's houses.
Yeah, that seems to be the targets now. He seems to be targeting residential houses and buildings.
Those refugees, they run away, but they don't have houses to go back to. They don't have they have nothing. Poor people just work a whole day alive to get that apartment, to buy that apartment, but they don't have anything right now.
Right.
Everything is ruined. I was planning to go to see my grandma that lives all by herself right now in the village in Western Ukraine. But I can't. My parents, thanks God, they're here right now in America. They were planning to go to Ukraine this May. But I don't know. Nobody knows.
I don't know. It's.
Galina, have you felt it seems like everywhere in this country, in the world, is united, with some rare exceptions. Everybody is in love with Ukraine these days. Are you feeling that support and love from people?
I do. Even at my work, tenants are calling me because Ray knows where I'm working in property management. All the tenants are calling. All the people are asking, "How are you? How's your family?" All my coworkers, my friends who live in Russia, are calling me and texting me, "How are you? How's your family?" Normal people, and they understand everything. But as I said, my best friend in Moscow, she cannot do anything because she works for government structure agency, and she hears me, she listens to me, but she cannot reply to me because the minute she's gonna say something against him, that Hitler, she's gonna be either arrested, or her family gonna be in trouble, or she's not gonna have a job anymore. This is Russian democracy for you guys.
Galina, let me ask you, when you hear on every channel, every Facebook post, everything on social media, prayers for Ukraine, this for Ukraine, do the people in Ukraine feel like we should be doing more, or other nations should be doing more? Because in 1994, Ukraine gave up their nuclear weapons under the promise that the United States was going to protect them. And
we definitely, first of all, we are very thankful to everybody who's sending their troops, who's sending their humanitarian shipments of clothing and food and everything, because as you guys know, everybody's in in the basements, and a lot of like newborn moms who have newborns, they don't have milk anymore. They cannot breastfeed because of all the stress. So we buy like dry baby food and we ship it there. And yeah, of course, we are very thankful to everybody, but of course, more has to be done, because if they're gonna destroy us, they're gonna go further.
Right. There's been talk that there is a concern now that they're going to expand into Moldova and some of the other countries, perhaps the Baltics, Estonia, Lithuania. Galina, for those of us who haven't visited Ukraine, tell us about the country before all this. It's a beautiful country.
It's this very, very beautiful country. It's all the people are very kind and they're full of hospitality, and everybody wants to feed you and welcome you and, you know, like spend time with you, show you places. Language was never a problem, and East and West was never a problem before Crimea was invaded. Then they created this fake artificial conflict between East and West, and they were saying that own people are invading their own people, but it was never true, because how can we kill our kids? How can we kill our cancer patients in hospitals and ruin our hospitals? Who does it? What kind of logic people supposed to have in order to say stuff like that?
Galina, can you tell everybody, or even me, I'm very curious, where can we go to get the actual real news? I mean, is it the RU site, or is it where do you get
all I watch right now? I watch either like Ukrainian journalists who give like interviews on Russian channels who speak the truth, and Ukrainian like celebrities and TV hosts and stuff like that who do like real stuff. I don't watch news, so I cannot really tell you which one are legit to watch.
Right.
You know, Mike, did you see that story this past week where
I can ask my uncle, because he's like in politics and he knows like a lot about news, so I'm gonna share. Maybe I'm gonna send you the link or something.
Yeah, that would be good. Mike, did you see that story this week where Elon Musk stepped up and he said that he was going to was it Starlink? I think is his network.
He tweeted one word.
A half an hour, I think he had internet to the people.
Was that what it was?
Yeah. He they had no internet. He activated Starlink, and somehow they had internet access.
Oh, you mean within a half an hour, or only for half an hour?
No, within a half an hour. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's amazing. I mean, that's the.
My friend from Moscow yesterday, she says that Apple Pay is not working anymore in Russia already. So, and I also shared the list of companies that are going out of business from Russia with Ray yesterday. It's a whole huge list of American companies.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's the thing, Galina. When we talk about, we're going to put sanctions on Russian companies, the oligarchs, and everything. But the problem is the regular people are going to be the ones to feel it first.
Yes,
the
of course.
And Putin are going to be the only ones standing after everything. So it's tough. I don't have an answer. Me and Ray talk about this all the time, and it's do we stop buying the oil? Does that choke the economy? Does that hurt the average Russian person? Or
I don't know what's going to happen, but everybody's going to be in big, huge crisis. Yeah. Financial, psychological, mental.
Yeah, humanitarian is going to be a huge factor. And they're freezing temperatures there now too. It's not a nice sunny day where they can just walk, 100 miles to Poland or whatever it is. They're in the snow walking 24, 48 hours.
Well, thanks God it's not that snowing right now. Usually like winter in Ukraine, it's much colder. Yeah. And my mom says, thanks God it's winter, because it would be summer. So those like dead people, dead bodies that like laying there on the streets right now would be like smelling, and all this like diseases spreading would be happening, and all this stuff.
Yeah. Actually, Ray, Arthur said his mic is working, and he just sent us a message. Want to try to bring him in real quick?
Sure, Arthur. We're going to bring in our guest host real quick.
Arthur, you there?
I'm here. Michael.
Galina. Arthur, can you ask your question? You put it in the private chat. I just want you to ask Galina.
Right. Well, I heard this morning Zelensky talking about the Russians. Part of their convoy and equipment are cremation trucks, which it's theorized to be utilized to take care of bodies of Russian soldiers, so they won't have to ship body bags back home.
Right. They're gonna burn them.
That always was a something that anti-war activists always pointed to during the Vietnam days. They would always take pictures of the loads of body bags being loaded onto planes to come back home. To me, this is a travesty that I can't understand why the rest of the world, we're not standing by, but this convoy, a 40-mile long convoy, I don't understand why someone doesn't have the drone capabilities of taking out a truck or two to stop it from moving. I don't understand where we're going with this. Once that convoy passes into crosses out of Belarus or Russian territory, it's fair game. And I'd like to see someone in Virginia open up his drone and drop some pies from the sky.
I think the concern, Arthur, is, and who am I to talk about this? I'm not a foreign policy expert or a military expert, but my concern is I think people are concerned as well about what happens next. You know, if you know that the other side doesn't have the capability of hitting you back, you have the ability to do exactly what you're talking about. I mean, we have that ability. I'm sure we do. But you're dealing with a person now who's obviously unstable, or, you know, and there are theories as to why this is happening now, having to do with Putin himself. You know, maybe there's been a report out, I've been reading this for the last year or two, that he's been sick. You know, who knows? You know, if the guy's on his last legs, we don't think so, because he's always gone to great lengths to make us think that he's this tough guy. But if he's on his last legs, and this is some sort of like manifest destiny that he's trying to accomplish, or legacy builder, or whatever you want to call it, you're operating probably with somebody who's irrational. And, you know, the fear there is that, you know, you do something militarily against this guy. That's the frustration, though, Arthur. I mean, the frustration is that what the hell are we going to do? I mean, you know, we've seen the president take certain moves. We've seen the world take certain moves, but we all want more. We all want this feeling that, you know, kind of what happened in Kuwait, that we can just push these guys back and tell them to get the fuck out. But, you know, realistically, is that going to happen? And that's the question. It's terrible. It's a terrible human. You know, one thing that they're talking about, by the way, they can declare Putin to be a human, a criminal, war criminal. If they call him a war criminal, supposedly that opens up other things that become available. And they're thinking there is that China might actually have to distance themselves if they call him, if the world calls him a war criminal. Tough decisions.
Yeah, see that, and another story that just came out a little while ago, Ray, was the that China and Russia were on the same page, where China told Russia, hold the invasion until after the Olympics. So
well, the whole thing with China is also the fear. They're watching the reaction from the West to see how we react.
Taiwan. Yeah,
they're looking at Taiwan. But my big fear with what Putin is doing is this scorched earth policy. He seems to be in the back of his mind. He doesn't care about human life, human suffering, and especially for the people of Ukraine. 20 years ago, but I don't understand, it's 20 years ago, it was part of the Soviet Union. My family, like Galina's, came from Ukraine. Part came during the pogroms of the early 20th century from Ukraine. They were in Kiev and another city I can't remember, one with an L, or another one further west, Poland, Lvov or something like that.
Okay, it's west.
The later family, my ex-wife's family, came from Kiev, and after the Second World War, but they never considered themselves Ukrainians. They were Russians. A very story for another time. However, the Soviet Union split up, and if there was anything to try to hold them together, it should have been done during the secession of the Soviet
Yeah.
states, not now. So,
Yeah.
It's just a terrible story. But
Yeah.
Galina, I wanted to say a few things to you. First of all, I had, this is a personal story, but I had the great pleasure of working Galina for a year or so. And she's not only a beautiful person on the outside, but she's a beautiful person on the inside. She's a wonderful, she's got such a loving heart, such a great friend. And I'm so sorry for what's happening to the Ukrainian people. I'm sorry for what's happening to your family. And I can see it on your face. I know exactly how stressed you are during this. I mean, for those of us who don't have family there, it's aggravating and stressful. And for you, I can only imagine what you're going through. So I want to say I love you, and I'm so sorry about what's going on. We'll continue to talk offline as we always do. And, depending upon what happens here, we'd love to have you back on and continue to share with us what's going on back home and with your
Before
family.
I'm going to say bye to you guys, I just wanted to say like couple of thoughts for you to think about.
Yep.
Like all our problems that we have in adult life are coming from childhood. So I was trying to study his biography, Putin's biography.
Yep.
And I discovered that he was, as a child, his mom got pregnant by him from the guy who was previously married, and she didn't knew about it. So she escaped the scandal to Georgia. Then she met another guy who was stepfather for Putin, but he beat him up a lot. Second stepfather was also repeating the same story, and he also was bullied by his peers in school, in playgrounds. So he developed a strategy: if you see the fights is coming, you have to attack first. That's his credo of the life.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I'm sure people are going to be diving into this even more and trying to figure out, and by the way, this is a diplomatic failure. The fact that we've got to this point, every administration, Republican, Democrats, whatever, how did we get here? That's going to be the subject of, I'm sure, of a lot of people's thinking and inquiries going forward. But anyway, Galina, thank you so much for joining us under these difficult circumstances, and I love you and talk to you soon.
Love to. Bye, guys. It was nice to meet you.
Hopefully everything is, some normalcy soon.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. I'll tell you what, guys. I'll tell you where the frustration is for me. Okay, and we have people. Everyone feels something about this story, but you once again you see the divide in this country. Okay, and you see things happening here where people are trying to make this into a political issue back home. I mean, meaning here. Okay, Republicans and Democrats both sides are using this story to their benefit. Let's be honest. Now, from my point of view, I think Republicans are using it a little bit more than the Democrats, because the Republicans are trying to prove that once again, somehow, some way, they are going to be tougher and stronger than the president. And I have no problem with that, except for the fact there's no specifics. There are no specifics. What are we going to do that you're the president of the United States, Mike? You're the president of the United States, Arthur. What are you going to do right now that he's not doing?
Well, I could tell you, Ray, a lot of the questions that actually the one question that comes up, it was proposed to Nancy Pelosi today, and she actually said, "Stop buying oil." Yes. Oil is blood. Blood is money. It's all about the oil and about money.
Yeah, but that's fine. You can stop buying the oil, but let's be honest. If you're going to stop buying the oil, okay, the presumption there is that people are already complaining. I got gas today. I paid $3.89. But I saw that there was already crossing $4 and change. Okay, right. So it's nice to say that, and I've always believed that that we should be energy independent. I've always believed that, and I don't think that the green solution is the way yet. I think that that's a work in progress. We need to drill and we need to have oil. I believe in things like the pipeline, but right. That makes me an exception amongst the Democrats. But that's what I've always believed. But my point is that in this quest to be tougher than the next guy. We're seeing stories out there. We're seeing the county executive, Nassau County, asking people to donate guns to send to Ukraine. It sounds great. Except for the fact that how the hell are you going to pull that off? And that's the frustration I feel. And by the way, last week, just for a moment, last week we had Bruce Blakeman and Lee Zeldin go up to Glen Cove to protest the Russian embassy, or not the embassy, but the Russians who have that compound up there. Okay, I thought that was great. 2 days later, we had the Democrats go up there, and me included. I didn't realize it was going to be a political thing. but we had the Democrats going up there. How great would it have been if both sides said, listen, we can't stand each other. We don't get along at all. But on this issue of world safety and whatever you want to call it, national security, on this issue, we can stand shoulder to shoulder and say, send these guys home. Don't make it into a place where you've got the Republican candidate for governor, you've got the Democrat candidate for governor, and every other Democrat there who's running for office give a speech. Why are we making this into a domestic political issue when this is a world issue?
Well, let me give you the quick answer on that, Ray. The reason I feel, and I could be wrong. I'm probably not though. Democrats voted for Joe Biden. Joe Biden day one overturned a lot of the policies Trump had for being energy independent. It's just a fact of the matter. You could day one all those executive orders he signed. Right? I mean, come on. Yeah. Yes. Right.
By the way, I watched the CPAC convention last week, and I'm listening to Mike Pompeo speak. Not a stupid person, not a dumb guy, and he's talking about how we should be. This is what he said. I kid you not. We should be drilling for oil home, which always gets Republican applause, and I would even applaud that. To be honest,
that's what they're using, Ray. They're using that.
But hold on. But then he said we should be drilling for America. We should be drilling for oil here, so we can send it overseas. And I'm saying, wait a minute. I said, wait a minute. Isn't the point to be energy independent? Yeah, if you have extra, you send it out. But they're so all over the place. And then they said, what else would you do, Secretary? Actually, it was a tough interview, surprisingly. I think it was on OAN or something like that. And he said, I would ramp up the sanctions. No one is saying that we should be going to war because nobody knows what war looks like in this situation. It's easier when you're dealing with a country like Iraq or Iran, maybe not Iran, but Iraq or, Syria or something, one of these other. But you're talking about a major superpower here that has nuclear weapons with a guy who's crazy. This is a crisis that is, unbelievable. And we're making it into and Glenn Cove was used for political theater. Right. So which is wrong.
It's wrong, and I agree with you, Ray. But like you said, that's what the Republicans are using, and it's working. It's dividing people even more, which is the goal of the mainstream media, whatever channel you watch. And it's awful. It's just awful. But the thing was, another story I heard, we're going to stop buying Iran oil. Why? Let's just, all we have to do is announce we're going to start drilling. Just announce it. That's all. Putin will be, wait a second. Yeah. The money's going to stop flowing. That's all. Can't hurt. Let's try it.
Listen, I'm all for that. And I'll be honest with you, I have in my very, very small stock portfolio, I have oil drilling stocks. I'm not afraid to admit it. I don't think green energy is there yet. I think that it's a work in progress.
Right. Not even that it's not there yet, but maybe we have to just pause it and take care of all of these thousands and thousands of people that are dying.
Well, it's a topic that we could talk on forever. We've got some people, but I'll tell you right now, what we really should be doing is getting our quote unquote friends to give us more. I mean, OPEC is not increasing production. Right. You've got that corrupt Saudi government that's propped up by the American government. Yeah. And by the way, all the craziness that's going on with Ukraine, notwithstanding, which is crazy, but you've got a war going on in Yemen for quite some time right now at the hand of the Saudis, and it's never right to support these people. But I'll just tell you right now, if we are in bed with them somehow, that the least they can do is increase production. That's the least they can do. But we could probably go on for a long time about this. Let's bring in our next guest. Change the topic for a few minutes, Arthur. For a few minutes, we'll get back to this, I'm sure.
Well, I have to say, Ray, Arthur's name was spelled wrong. Arthur, when you typed your name and you typed it wrong, so we had a comment and we fixed it. Now we're perfect. Now we're tip-top shape right now.
I'm a typo, huh?
Arthur, you'd have done bad on the SATs. Don't they tell you that you get like 200 points just for spelling your name right or something?
Yes, that's correct. That's about what
you got like a 0 on your SATs tonight. All right, let's bring in our next guest. Our next guest is a friend of mine, Zaveri, who's had a family history of being in the insurance business for a long time, business consultant. He travels back and forth between New York and Puerto Rico. He's a friend of mine. And we're bringing him on tonight to talk specifically about what happens to people when they get old, they get sick, and how that translates into their money situation. So, Salil, thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you for welcoming me, Ray, Michael, Arthur.
Hi, Salil.
I was listening in the back room there, green room as you call it, and you guys are talking about some very interesting things and on point because there's so much going on. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, first of all, tell us about Puerto Rico today. How's the weather? How's it down in Puerto Rico?
Well, and when we're not having a hurricane, it's good. We are a very small island. We're 100 miles long by 35 miles wide. So the hurricanes don't really find us usually, but they did find us twice in 2017. And we were devastated. We've rebuilt. And, things are much better thanks to the funding U.S. sent over to help us. And without that, I don't think we would have recovered. But thank the politicians in U.S. on both sides to help us out.
So whatever happened, there was an island that they kept showing during those hurricanes that was completely destroyed. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but
Vieques. You're probably speaking about Vieques.
Yes. Was that ever rebuilt, or what happened there?
Well, people choose to live on that island. It's a ferry ride or short airplane ride from San Juan. I mean, people don't take a ferry from San Juan. I mean, they take it from Ceiba, which is where the ferry is. They go back and forth to the mainland. Vieques is where the military used to bomb in the past.
Right.
Do a lot of testing out there. One soldier actually ended up dying from misfiring of one of those bombs, and Vieques banned the U.S. military from doing any more of that. So people have settled there, and it's remote. It takes time to get help over there, and the infrastructure is weak. So they did rebuild. Yes, everything's okay now.
Right.
But when people choose to live in Puerto Rico, first of all, they're remote from the mainland. So getting help here is difficult. And then they choose to live in a remote island from a remote island, then it gets even more difficult.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking at the map now. You're absolutely right. It's
because I have a friend who's a big investor, and I think he lives there part of the year. But Salil, tell us about your business, because you travel back and forth, and that's the nature of your business is such that even though you're there, you've got very, very strong Long Island roots. No?
Yeah, Ray. I moved here in 2015 March, so it's been 7 years, and I love it. I came here because I wanted to balance my life. My dad died at 56, and I'm 61 now. But when he passed away, I was taken back. I was 28 at the time, and he was 56 at the time. And I said to myself that when I hit 50, I want to enjoy at least 5 years. I thought I would die at 56 like him, with family, history and all. And I said, when I hit 50, that's it. I'm not going to run hard anymore. I want to balance life. And I was able to luckily do that because Puerto Rico and U.S. have a program that I luckily discovered. And what it is anybody who moves to Puerto Rico from anywhere, a U.S. citizen, of course, would get to pay 4% income tax on U.S. income. So I do consulting. I help businesses grow their sales revenue. I show them how they can work on things that they might not have thought about. And that's one of the areas Zaveri Consulting does. I started that company in 2015 when I came here. The company we've had in place since 1969 that my father started, that I joined him in 1978. And then, of course, he passed away in 1988, so I was with him for 10 years, is the insurance business. He came with $8 in his pocket from India in 1969, and he couldn't, of course, invest in anything. All he could do was invest his time and, learn a trade. And the insurance companies were advertising for salespeople, as they always do. And that was one of his only options. So he went, he interviewed, he started in the business. He realized the company he was with was not the strongest, but they had great benefits, but he didn't care about his benefits. He wanted to make sure what he was selling was strong. And so he moved to another company within a matter of a few months. And then I joined him in 1978. And then he passed away in 88. So our insurance business is third generation now, because my son joined me 12 years ago. We have 70 brokers that are in the U.S., and I'm based here in Puerto Rico because the way it's structured is I do the Zoom calls, the phone calls on helping either individuals or groups on how to look at their policies individually, long-term care, their business insurance, and I don't act as an agent. I don't act as a broker. I act as a consultant guiding people on looking at their existing portfolio and letting them know what's wrong with it, how can they fix it, and of course, I can't fix it for them because I don't act as the agent or broker. But hopefully, those people will value what I've said and they'll say, Salil, who do you suggest I work with? Well, I'm going to suggest you work with my team, which is, my son, my sister, my other brokers. They're all based in US. And we can do business anywhere in the 50 states and in Puerto Rico.
So we've had conversations offline for several years now. It's been that long talking about this concept of long-term care insurance. And unfortunately for my family, it wasn't an option because of just wasn't an option. But my question is, if you could just briefly explain to our audience, what is long-term care insurance and why is it so important for people?
Sure. Ray, first of all, it is appropriate for your family. We should have a follow-up call. Some things have changed. So offline we'll talk. But going back to, let's take a typical person. A typical person is going to buy life insurance when they're young. They're going to buy some term life insurance, because they're building their assets and they want to make sure their family's protected. And over the years, they might switch to equity-based policy like a whole life or universal life. But then when they become 50, 60, by that time, maybe they don't need, that term insurance because they have their own assets. They built up their own safety nets. But what happens is now we're getting into a different time zone with 50 plus. And to us, when we get older, we're concerned about not having enough money because people are living longer and longer. When I started in the business 44 years ago now, 1978, people were supposed to live into their 60s and then die, and the insurance companies want to pay the death claims out. But because people are living longer, medicine, people are learning to be healthier in various ways. Now people are living into their 80s, 90s, and now the worry is the other way around. What happens when we retire and we built up this nice nest egg, that will it last long enough for us to live comfortably? Yep. So my suggestion is that everyone should take a particular program, and it's called long-term care rider, not long-term care policy. A long-term care policy is a use it or lose it. What happens is you get old, you go into a nursing home, or you want to get some help at home, and the long-term care policy pays for it. It doesn't give you money. It only gives you care. It's like health insurance of having a helper. And that's all long-term care does. But a long-term care rider is a cash plan. It's an indemnity plan. What it does is, let's say you buy $1 million long-term care rider. It doesn't have to build cash value. It can work like term insurance. You can say, look, all I want is the cash while I'm alive. And the way it works is, let's take me, for example. I'm 61. Let's say I have next year a car accident. I hurt my back, or a stroke. And now I may not be disabled. I may have difficulty with maybe some of the daily living activities that I do. Maybe when I go in the shower and I feel dizzy and I could fall. I'm at danger to myself. Or if I'm going up and down the stairs, I could fall. So I'm at danger to myself. So if I had this policy, this long-term care rider, I can actually go to my own doctor and say, hey, doc, I'm feeling risky now because of my health. Can you give me a letter that says that I can get assistance at home? I want to live at home, and I can get assistance at home, and somebody will help me out. So he'll say, of course, I don't want you to get hurt. Here's a letter, get some help. And so I submit that to my insurance company as evidence that my doctor and I confirm together that my symptoms of dizzy spells or bad back or bad knees or anything else that comes with old age or accident, stroke, heart attack, whatever, no exclusions, even COVID reaction, that my insurance company has to send me $12,000 a month, every single month, cash, tax-free, and as of the fourth month. So the first 3 months are a waiting period. They won't pay me. But as of the fourth month, even if I don't hire somebody, even if nobody is paid by me to come and help me, let's say my life partner helps me, my family can help me, my neighbor can help me. I don't spend $1 at a nursing home or third-party certified care. That would have been required in a long-term care policy. But under the long-term care rider, that is not a requirement, and I can receive the $12,000 a month. That's $144,000 a year, cash, tax-free, until they paid me this $1 million pool of benefit that I purchased. It's an awesome program.
It sounds to the average person who might be tuning in on a Thursday night when a lot of things go on in the world, they'll say, well, listen, I don't know. But this is such an important conversation for people to have, hopefully with Salil. But, you need to know about this because all of us are going to, God willing, get to a certain point where we may need this type of benefit. And if you don't buy it at the right age, you're going to be priced out possibly. And Salil, thank you so much for sharing this information. How do people get in touch with you?
Well, they can contact me at my phone number, or they can visit my website, Zaveri, which is my last name, consulting.com, zavericonsulting.com, or zaveriinsurance.com. And my phone number, my email is there. They can get a free consultation with me. I can help them review what they've done. Then they don't necessarily have to spend money. Sometimes we can change what you've already purchased over the years.
Yeah. This is something that I've become passionate about, even though I'm clearly not in this business, but just having seen what's going on with my family, just spread the word. So Salil, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And, I'm sure we'll be talking offline more. So thanks very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Good night, Salil. Very interesting.
Good night, everyone.
Yep.
Visit Puerto Rico.
Yes. Yes.
All right, here we go.
Can I just say that was very enlightening?
Yeah.
That it pays you the cash instead of paying the employers. Let's say you needed an aid. Yeah. One of the things I've seen, and it bothers me the most about the long-term care policies, is that the recipient of the benefits, like my dad had it, we had to hire an aide through a certified agency.
Yeah.
And the insurance company paid the agency. The agency was getting maybe $400 a day.
Yep.
And the aide was getting about 180.
And
you're paying the aide, so you can hire someone.
Yeah, it's direct. It's direct. Yeah, absolutely.
Direct, and not through an agency.
Absolutely. All right, Mike and Anthony, Arthur, we got Mike and Anthony. We got Mike Trezz up. We got Jen up. We got Andrew. We got a full show. Let's go. We got Mike coming up with a rant, right?
Yeah, we got Mike. Let's bring in Mike. Mike, where are you? There he is.
Hey, Ray Mike. And Michael, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Arthur, nice to meet you.
Yes, you got the haircut my wife wants me to get.
My wife doesn't like it, but in any case, guys, listen, it is March. My calendar says March. Yesterday, my thermometer said 50 degrees. It's the kind of day where you get outside, you do some walking, you do some biking, you do what it is, and it's that sort of tease, guys, that spring is coming, that summer is coming, and that baseball is coming. Oh, wait a minute. Baseball is not coming. Baseball is not coming, at least for the first week or two of the regular season, because these guys, team owners, billionaires, and these players, multimillionaires, can't figure out how to divide up this huge sum of my money and you guys' money. And I'll tell you guys right now, they want to try to make it about the long-term health of the game, which is laughable. This is about nothing else except the short-term health of their wallets and their bank accounts. You know, I mean, I understand that there are much bigger issues in the world to be upset about, whether they're international or national or local. You guys, Michael and Ray, do a great job of covering all of them. And that this, relatively speaking, is something frivolous to be upset about. But for guys like me, baseball is summer without sounding overly corny and romantic. Okay. People like me need sports and need baseball specifically to get away from the type of problems that are going on in the world that you guys do um, such a great job of covering. And we here in New York, Ray and Mike and Arthur, we've had a terrible time with sports this year. I mean, the Giants and Jets were unwatchable. People on Long Island. Go ahead, Arthur.
Their jerseys. You hit a sore note with me because I have a bone to pick that the Giants and the Jets use the New York moniker, and I don't feel they should be allowed to. I'm a Buffalo fan right now, and because they're New York's team. But the Giants were a big disappointment to many, and I do have many friends that attend. They only went to the stadium in New Jersey this year just to tailgate, and then they came.
Great point, but another story for another time. Listen,
Right.
People on Long Island are going to get pissed at me for saying that, but despite all of the excitement around UBS, the Islanders stunk this year, guys. I can't sugarcoat it for you. They stunk. All right. The New York Knicks were exciting last year. Guess what? This year, they stunk. So Met fans and Yankee fans, we were all looking forward to a baseball season filled with fun and filled with excitement. And now we're not going to get that, at least for the beginning part of April, because greedy ball players and greedy team owners who want to give you this absolute nonsense about that they care about the game, it is absolutely laughable. This stuff about competitive balance is not about competitive balance. And here's my proof, guys. You look at the Tampa Bay Rays, right? They're in the same division as the big bad New York Yankees and the big bad Boston Red Sox. And for 15 or 20 years now, they've been able to compete and get themselves to the World Series a couple times with a very, very low payroll. So that's not what it's about. And it's not about the long-term health of the game. If you're worried about the health of the game, why are you asking for additional rounds of playoff? That is absolutely ridiculous. So these guys, billionaires and multimillionaires, have to get together. They have to solve some of these economic issues. They have to, listen, baseball players don't want to hear it, Michael. They're never going to want to hear it. But at some point, they're going to have to hear the words salary cap and also salary minimum. In other words, if you're the Pirates or the Reds or the Royals and you can't come up to a certain threshold of payroll, here's what we're going to do. We're going to force you to sell the team. We're going to move you to a different city, or we're going to out and out contract you. Is that going to bother me to see the Reds, 150-year-old franchise, contracted? Yes, it is going to bother me. But you know what, though? If there are fewer teams, that is okay with me. So, if we don't start the season on April 1st, I'm okay with that. If we don't start it on May 1st, I'm a little bit less okay with that. If we don't start it by June 1st, I am most definitely not going to be okay with that. And I will tell you guys something else. Chris Caputo, my baseball reporter, made this point on my show in what I thought was a very smart way, Ray. He said, kids don't care about baseball. Yeah. From age 7 to about age 12, baseball was my life, Michael. And you know what? The Yankees stunk back then, and baseball was still my life. These kids now like hockey. They love the NBA. They love football, and they're not that interested in baseball. Take your boys, Ray, Take them to a game. And that 4-hour game, for 3 of those hours, here's what they're going to be doing. Messing with the phone. So you know what? Figure it out, guys. Figure it out how to divide up that money. Because I will tell you, there's only so many times the fans are going to come back and support you after you've slapped them in the face again and again. Baseball used to be the national pastime and is now descending into a national joke and a national disgrace. And that, my friends, is what Trezz says.
Very
Thank
good.
you, Mike Trezza.
You heard it here first.
Spot on Sports Facebook page. He does maybe every other Wednesday. It seems like is the schedule now.
We're on a bit of a hiatus, but we will be back. I'm thinking probably not this coming week, Michael, but the one after. So
Trezz, we actually learned the lesson of Major League Baseball on this show. We see what goes on in the world and we try to apply it to us. We actually have a salary cap here on the Long Island show, so we all, none of us make anything. we keep it nice and simple. There's no fighting because nothing of nothing is nothing.
I was going to say, Ray's got to be sucking up 95% of that salary.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'd like to announce that me and Ray are in negotiations to form a stickball league, but we're not meeting yet on the money part.
Arthur's part of the salary cap also. So Arthur, your check's coming in.
I'm under the new agreement with the new minimum.
Oh, yeah, okay. Anyway, Trezz, thanks so much. Good seeing you, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Nice meeting you, Mike.
Mike, Arthur, we have Jen waiting patiently for us.
Yes.
Let's bring in Jen.
Let's bring.
There
she is. Okay, she's in.
How are you? So sorry to keep you waiting in the green room. How are you?
I'm well. I've been enjoying the show.
Complimentary cheese doodles and diet Pepsis and back there.
Well, man, see, that's where he's getting all his payola.
We don't take a salary, put it into the green room. Jen, listen, it's been a crazy week. It's been, although there's been some good news, right? So the kids are back to school without the masks now, right?
Yes, they are. I am so happy about that. But now that we've made the achievement with the masks, we are now talking to kids about another type of tragedy that is occurring, the Ukraine war. Look, there's so much tragedy and anxiety for parents to sort through with their kids. There's COVID, mass shootings, natural disasters, terror attacks, and now we have to talk to our kiddos about war. Kids are watching. They are like sponges. Even if we think that they're not paying attention, when we have the news on in the background, or if they're hearing the news on their own electronic devices. I know my son, for a 13-year-old, is pretty in tune with everything that is going on. They are absorbing all of the things that are going on with Ukraine. So I thought it would be helpful tonight to talk a little bit about what is appropriate for kids to hear and maybe what's not appropriate. Kids, no matter what age they are going to have the same basic questions. They're going to want to know, are they safe? Are my parents, my caretakers, are they safe? How will what's going on in another part of the world maybe affect my day-to-day? Is it possible that the country that I live in will go to war? There are so many questions that kids do have. And what you want to do as a parent or a caretaker is you want to create a space that allows for dialogue and for active listening. there are kids that are going to really want to talk about it, and then there are kids that are not going to want to talk about it. So you want to follow their lead. But some considerations you may want to take into account. For example, you want to be aware of the developmental level and the age of the child. Children under the age of 7, there's a good chance they may know something is going on, but with them, you want to follow their lead, and you want to talk to the child about maybe the information they are aware of, but not really give them any more, any less. Then as the kiddos get older, as I said, you want to create that space for them to have a dialogue where you can, with you, where you can answer them honestly. Maybe tailor the information for what you think your child can or cannot handle. You also want to minimize the visuals that they get. I know today, something that broke my heart was a segment that was done on the children's hospital in Ukraine, and seeing all of these very chronically and terminally ill children being cared for in the basements of the hospitals was just, it was just heartbreaking. Maybe that type of content is something you want to keep from your children. You know, you want to reaffirm that your child is safe and okay. And one thing that even the president is saying on TV is that we are not at war with Russia. We are aiding Ukraine, but we are not at war. So that is something I'm even telling my own son, that the country he lives in is safe right now and that we are not at a war. And then another thing that I thought was just perfect. I've been hearing from some of the kiddos that I work with in my practice is that they're asking for ways to help the Ukrainians. So maybe explore with your kiddos ways that they can help, you know, maybe donating supplies or starting a fundraiser, or contributing to a fundraiser that is in existence. There are tons of them going on. I know our local channel 12 is highlighting all the fundraisers that are going on right now. So that may be a great way to get your kiddos involved if they feel they want to be.
Yeah, you know, I was watching the news before, and I was just wondering, like, you know, what if a kid's flipping through the channels and they see, you know, what's going on? It sort of resembles their video games in a way. You hear all this gunfire, and you see, but now you're seeing real bodies. They showed one. It was like a burnt a soldier. I don't know what soldier on what bridge, but now it's like video games and reality. And is there a connection between the two that the kids are making and saying, wait a second, this could be real?
I think so. My 13-year-old made that connection when he was watching some of the news with me. He said, "Mom, this is some of the content that I see in the video games. How could this be real? Mom, you've always told me that, you know, what's in the video games is not real." And I realized that I made too general of a statement with him when I did say that. But yes, there is a connection. And that's why we have to keep talking to our kids to help them understand those connections.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if you saw it before when Galina was on, Ray, and Jennifer, Arthur was, I don't know if he was on then, but Galina was talking about how they just have to leave their homes. And you see on TV, they take one backpack, whatever they can grab, and they leave their house. You know, what a psychological thing that these people are going to be scarred for life. The kids, the parents, everyone that had to just grab whatever and leave. Yeah.
It's terrible.
the trauma that the Ukrainians are going through. Like you said, Mike, that it's going to be lifelong. But over here, as we watch, as we're witnessing what is occurring, we have to be careful to protect ourselves from the secondary trauma that can occur from watching it in big doses. So that's something viewers should be aware of.
Well, it's this is an ongoing story, and our thoughts and prayers, which is always it always sounds terrible when people say it because it sounds like they don't mean it, but in this case, we really do. The people of Ukraine and Galina's family, of course, with dear friends and stuff. It's just terrible. But on a light note, Jen, can I run something by you really quick?
Sure.
On a light note, I've been waiting for about a week to tell you this. This is like I was a little emotional about this, but I had occasion to see Mike last week for a few minutes. And we got to the part where we were going to say goodbye. And I went in for a hug because I thought we're on the level, like we're co-hosting the show for a few months now. And he gave me a handshake. And I wasn't sure if it was a COVID thing, but I don't think so. And I don't know, Mike, no hug?
Well, you know what? To be fair, I saw lips coming at me, right?
No, we're at a bar, Mike. We're at a bar. That's what's supposed to happen.
I don't remember. I don't remember exactly like leaving, but I do remember I kind of left when the comedian started picking on you.
Well, that's I'm like, look at me. I'm like, actually, Arthur would be great at that. I think he and I would have a good thing going to this place. They'd be picking on both of us all the time. Well, Arthur, you've got the best kitchen cabinets on Long Island. I have to tell you. I've been meaning to tell you since the last show.
Yeah, well,
honest to God, what are those kitchen cabinets? My God.
That's the backdrop. I went to one of those apps.
He's got the backsplash. I've been looking. He's got the backsplash. He actually has the same shirt. I have the same exact shirt, Arthur, and I have it in 3 different colors. So I've got that.
With the backsplash, you can't see the motif inside the backsplash above the stove because we put in a different pattern, and then when you walk 15 feet away and you look at the pattern that's there, it looks like a crossword puzzle. It's the funniest thing.
It's terrible. It's terrible to invite people, to invite yourself to something, right? I mean, I've always lived that. But Mike and I have we've been talking about doing a remote session someplace. I think we should do it in Arthur's house. Look at his house. Look at that.
My kitchen takes up 50% of the space in the house.
No, I nominate you for having the best kitchen cabinets on Long Island. Honestly,
and put in a 21st century kitchen.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfectly lit for a podcast and everything.
Look at the light fixtures, Mike. Look at that. It's unbelievable.
My wife, she's working remotely and she's constantly on Zoom calls. So she's always putting flowers back there. I said, "Can I use your set tonight?" And she set me up very nicely.
That's really.
When you said crossword puzzle about the motif on the backsplash,
yeah, I'll show you that next time. It's covered up right now.
No, but I was going to ask you, do you by any chance Wordle?
Yes, I've actually once got one on the second try.
The second try.
Hey, Mike, before you go on, why don't we bring in Andrew? He's been waiting. Can we bring in?
Is Andrew down there?
Yeah,
Andrew is there. I have a window open. Let's bring in Andrew. Andrew is our Wordle expert.
So, but you don't know this, but Andrew's been in the green room for a while. He's actually in his car. He's driven about 120 miles since he first came into the green room.
I saw him pop up before, but then I had a window over him. I didn't see him.
No, he made it from Atlantic City back home in the time that we put him in the green room. Welcome, Andrew.
Time to stop to get something to eat.
I'm telling you, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the miles go by. It's like, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How's everybody doing?
Tough week, but we're here,
Yeah. Listen, I vote. If you need my vote, I vote. We have it at Arthur's Kitchen, and I'll do the cooking segment in Arthur's Kitchen.
It is a very functional kitchen.
That's the question. Is it really a functional kitchen?
Well, because a steam oven came with the refrigerator.
Oh, wow.
How's that for promotions?
Wow.
Nice.
Andrew makes the best little meatballs. What were the sliders, Andrew? The sliders with they were inside of a donut hole?
Yeah, with donut hole. I did pulled pork, and then I did some kielbasa ones.
Nice.
Yeah, a good kielbasa.
Wow.
Yeah, the kielbasa was good. Actually, I'm making Reuben ones this weekend. I got a game party. I donated it was a cooking lesson to the Boy Scouts. They raffled it off. They wound up getting close to $1,500 for it. And I got it tonight. Actually, I've been prepping tonight. I've been running back and forth to the stores. And then tomorrow I'll be prepping. And then it's Saturday out in the Hamptons. I got this little cocktail party I'm doing for the people. So just doing some crazy, unique things. I made some venison pastrami. So we're going to make some sliders out of those.
Andrew, I don't know if you realize we've been doing a little cat and mouse with you because we've been trying to like push the calendar back. We're trying to do this camping session as it gets closer to like spring, you know. So like we're like 2 weeks out now because back in January, this camping thing sounded a little scary, but now we're about 2-3 weeks out from spring. It's not so bad.
What are you gonna wait for July 4th weekend to go?
Yeah, pretty much.
I sent Mike the link of the place where I want to take you. It's very nice. We can go. I promise you guys won't freeze. We'll make sure you guys have
bathrooms there too. So that's good.
Mike's going to bring the candles. It's all about ambiance for Mike. Mike's going to bring the little candle lights.
The scented candles.
We'll have a nice campfire. Don't worry about it. The last time we went, we probably burnt about a face quart of wood. So in one night we had a good campfire going. So I'll keep you guys.
I love the smell of campfire. I do. Yeah. I love the wood burning smell.
Arthur's got to come with us as a co-host, as a guest host. He's now obligated to come with us on this camping trip.
Yeah.
With porta potties.
No, real bathrooms, I think.
All right, listen, gentlemen, I'm at the end of my limit right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to excuse myself, but I do want to come back week after week because I do hope to get a chance to talk about local issues. And
no, you know what? Real quick before you go, Arthur, just real quick. I had occasion to go to the town of Hempstead meeting 2 days ago, and I have to tell you that I know you've been going to Oyster Bay meetings.
Oh, you saw me?
No, I didn't go to the town of Oyster Bay. I went to the town of Hempstead meeting where I am, and I have to tell you, our local town governments, people need to be educated about our local town governments because I can't speak to Oyster Bay. I haven't been up there, but I've seen you on there, and it's just terrible. I know you got to go. Maybe we'll talk another time about this, but
yes, I would love to be back next week.
Yeah.
So I got to get the timing right when I can eat dinner before or eat dinner after. I'm here in the kitchen and I'm looking at dinner and I'm saying, "Oh,
you could do it during. There's no, we don't have rules."
The Voice meeting I had this past week was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know if you saw it, but there was an interesting point of view that my point of view is not agreed upon by the council people. But
I'll tell you what. Well, if you can join us next week, let's focus on that a little bit next week if you've got the time. Thank you so much, Arthur. Okay.
Be well, guys.
Thanks, Arthur.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
And
enjoy your dinner.
Let's hope we do have a peace at last soon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amen.
Practice your camping, Arthur. We'll talk about that next week.
You got the right one. My last Woodstock was my last camping trip.
We'll camp out in his kitchen.
I got to run.
Arthur. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow.
All right, guys. So listen, what's new, Andrew? Everything else good? How you doing otherwise?
Everything's good. No complaints. Just work's a little crazy. There's a shortage of labor in the United States, I should say. So work's been a little hectic. So I've been in popular demand with my job these days. So it's been a little crazy.
Jen, are you feeling that people are sort of like, not just the children, but you feel people in general are anxious, on edge with everything going on? I mean, it seems like we don't get a break. Like there's one thing after another,
I do. I think people are very sad. That's what I'm observing, is that they feel very sad, very helpless. I'll be honest with you, in my private practice, I'm getting referrals this past week for people who are struggling to deal with what's going on in Ukraine. And they want to come in and try and have some help processing it. So it's causing depression.
Maybe we should take a moment, Jen, if you can, talk about your practice, because we've had you as a co-host on the show for so long, but we've never actually spoken about it. What kind of help do you offer people?
Well, I have a private practice in Huntington, and I specialize in working with children and adolescents. But with every child comes two parents. So I do have a lot of experience in working with families and in working with adults as well. And one of the other things that I do through my practice is special education advocacy. So if any of the viewers need any assistance with their children and individualized education plans, please reach out to me. I would love to be helpful. But yeah, I specialize in autism, developmental disabilities, and I specialize in trauma. I've become a trauma specialist. I became one certified about 3 years ago. And now I work with the Red Cross as well, in addition to my practice as a disaster mental health worker. So, so I sort of do a few different things.
You don't do relationship counseling?
No, I don't.
Mike, we're gonna have to find somebody besides you.
Yeah, me and Ray are having a little problem.
It's from the hug.
Ray's feelings are hurt because
I'm telling you.
Him.
I thought it was. I feel like Andrew would give me a hug. I don't know. You know what I mean? By the way,
I honestly didn't know you were going in for a hug, but I'll come over there now and hug you. You're not that far away.
No, the damage is done.
Damage is done.
You know,
you can't do it.
I found out a lot of stuff about Ray before with your eyes, especially with the background brings the blue out in your eyes. I never knew how blue your eyes were.
Yeah, we were joking around offline before. Andrew would appreciate this. I had some friends growing up who, my two regrets are, I wish I was taller and I wish I had different color eyes. You know, I wish I was about 6. I'm 5'10" and a half. And when you're less than 6 foot, you measure by the half, you know, so you're a quarter, whatever. You measure by the quarter even sometimes, you know, but I'm 5'10" and a half. I wish I was 6 foot. Even if I just got 6 foot even, I'd be fine. Mike is 6 foot, you know, so you got the magic number. But and then I wish I had different color eyes. I wish I was like, you know, something special, but I'm not. But I'd rather be myself than be like my friends growing up. You know, they put the color because Mike said you could buy color contacts. I said, what am I gonna do? Put green eyes with my skin color and my hair color? How's that gonna look? You know, it's gonna look like I'm radioactive or something. So no, this is it, guys. This is what I am.
Jennifer,
natural beauty.
Jennifer, this is for a friend, and I don't want to name names.
Thank you, Andrew.
This is for a friend of mine. I don't want to name names, but he's very vain, and he I'm just kidding.
Who is this? You gotta mention who this is.
I was going to talk about you, but I was going to say,
nice.
some people when they wish for like a bag full of $1 million, but you want 6 foot and different color eyes.
No, actually, to be honest with you, the eyes are not going to, whatever. I do wish I was 6 foot. I'm not going to lie, because you know what? I feel like that's a thing. Like if you say you're 6 foot, it doesn't matter if you're 6 foot or 6'4". You're 6 foot. You know, so I'm like an inch and a half off. You know, like I'm not that far off, but I'm still not.
But there's no need for a Napoleon complex. You're not like 5'2" or 5'3". You're 5'10" and a half. Not short.
Let me write that down. This is like the best moment in our relationship.
Maybe that's why I didn't see the hug. I didn't see the hug coming in. You were too low.
Andrew, I don't know if you realize I'm classing it up tonight. I'm using my red Solo cups tonight. You know,
that's the way to go.
You know what I mean? It's great for camping, right? You bring all the food, the venison, whatever. I'll bring the red Solo cups.
Not a problem. I got insulated red Solo cups that keeps your drink colder longer. So
this guy's got everything. I'm telling you, he's got it all planned out, Mike.
Yes.
He's the real deal. Andrew's the real deal. I enjoyed the show last night. I watched for a little bit. It was a good show last night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Feel to the Fork. If you want it on Facebook, search it. Feel to the Fork. Also, you're really big on Instagram too, Andrew. You got a lot of followers on Instagram, and
we dedicate a lot of time on the Instagram account.
Yep.
You know, to get back what Jen said with today. Hold on, I got a guy next to me that's been warming up his car. He's got one of those Dodge hot rods there. All right. To get back where people are sad today, like I work for a union. That's my normal job that I do. I'm a union rep. So there's a lot of people out there that are very, scared of the uncertain, losing their jobs, and they don't know what's going on. What I do on my end, I look at it like I'm a bartender, because I don't have a couch, or I'm not certified for somebody to sit down on the couch next to me. But you just got to reinforce positive mental attitude. And I do that with just about everything that I do in life. And, you know, you can't guarantee tomorrow's going to be better, but you can always talk it out. And just, you know, to touch a little bit what Jen does and stuff like that. And I feel it helps in what I do. But sometimes people just want you to, they want your ear, you know, and that's the main thing. So, you know, Ray, yeah, you know, Ray, when you say you're just shy of, you know, 6 foot, you know, boo-hoo, you know, get on with it. But that should be the least thing, you know, to worry about.
Oh no, listen. Overall, you know, life is. Listen, as Americans, the truth of the matter is that even for those of us who watch the news and suffer from some sort of you know, anxiety from it, the truth of the matter is that most of us are sitting at home or in our car or whatever we may be, listening to the news, and we're not actually enduring it. So we live in the greatest country in the world. You know, we might have our issues, but you know, how fortunate we all are, and I certainly feel that way, and I think we all do. So,
yeah, that was one of my conversations I had today. You don't realize how fortunate we are. You know, you look at people that are working 2 jobs or 2.5 jobs just to survive, you know, or look at the poor souls in, you know, in the country, and you know, where all this animosity is going on. So
yeah, and you know, we're on the cusp of something very dangerous right now, and you know, it doesn't take a war for us to appreciate our American troops, and thank you for all those who serve and protect our country. You know, you never really know the strength. It's not always the war; it's the prevention of war that our military provides for us. The fact that they exist means that we may not have to have wars, but you know, we don't know what the world would have looked like if we don't have a strong U.S. military. So, without going too political, thank you for all those who serve, and you know, God bless the troops always.
Yeah, and Ray, I wanted to ask Galina before I had it on my notes, but I didn't. One of the rules in Ukraine is if you're between 16 and 60, you're supposed to stay and fight. You know, you weren't supposed to flee, and that's like a draft like you know, no one's ever seen.
Well, you know, Israel has something similar, right? Where Israel, you're required to serve.
You have to serve, right? But
right.
I mean, you know.
So yeah, I mean, it's amazing what would happen maybe in this country if we had. I'm not sure that's the right answer for this country, but for America. But you know, you certainly want people to be appreciative of those who do choose to serve. And you know, people forget, you don't, as I said a moment ago, you don't have to have a war for American troops to be defending this country, because their presence alone and their sacrifice, you know, being overseas and serving in defense of this country, allows us to live the life that we're all living and joke around about things that we joke around on the show and camping and stuff like that. So, you know, tip of the hat, and much love, much respect to all the people, men and women who are serving in all of our armed forces, including the Coast Guard, which sometimes gets overlooked, but including the Coast Guard,
absolutely,
all our branches of our military, and first responders, but, you know, particularly our military and stuff like that. So, you know, but listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us, Jen. Thank you as always. Thank you, Andrew. Good seeing you. And Mike, I guess we'll see you guys next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Yes.
Mike, we got to continue. I had occasion to go. I know it's a little disjointed, but I had occasion to go to Town of Hempstead meeting a couple days ago, and I have to tell you that, as usual, our strongest advocates are there. Every single meeting. Diane Madden, of course, the great Diane Madden was there. Felix Procacci was there, as usual, filming and doing what he does, which is holding government officials accountable for their actions. That's all he does. I mean, that's what Diane does. That's what they do. Okay. And I think we should all be very, very grateful to them for the work that they do. There was also somebody else there. I think her name is Bonnie. I don't know her. Also terrific. But as part of our ongoing series, Felix Procacci has generously agreed to share with us his thoughts, which we share on this show. And I was teasing Felix when I saw him the other day that I'd like to have him on, and he said soon, right? Soon. So we'll see what soon means, Felix. I hope it's maybe next week or the week after, whatever your schedule allows for. But this week's comments from Felix are very, very simple, very easy. What Felix is talking about this week are mailings. And in fact, I kind of memorized it because it was short, but let me just bring it up just in case my memory fails me. So it's this production thing. Yeah, I know. It's always this production thing where I had it a minute ago. I swear to God. It's like, you know, I swear I did my homework.
Something was up there.
I really did do my homework. And Yeah, I know. Thanks for the music, Mike. It adds a little bit of pressure, you know. No, but I'm glad I aired it out with Jen about the hug because I was trying to figure it out. I went in and you kind of like, all right, I'll see you later. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? I was forced to hug that comedian who was making fun of me. It was awkward. You know. Look, what Felix is talking about is mailings. We all know, if you live on Long Island and maybe elsewhere, you all know about mailings and the type of mailings that we receive, unnecessary, stupid, frivolous, whatever you want to call it, mailings that we receive from our town government. And it's all about putting their name out there and name recognition. Of course, they forget that we live in 2022, and most of us, you know, of course, we use the mail, you know, but we don't depend on the mail to get our news or information, and better, easier ways of getting our information. So what Felix is saying is that he thinks that mailings, if they have to exist, should come with a price tag. Simple as that. That's that easy, you know, that if they're going to mail out communication by mail, that they also have to figure out, they have to let us know how much the mailing costs.
Right.
I mean, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, a conservative, a liberal, an independent, a progressive, whatever the hell you are, why wouldn't you be in favor of that? Like, you know, these things cost money, and I don't know. I could ask Felix. I think there's an in-house print shop in most of these towns. Town of Hempstead, I think, definitely does. I could be wrong, but you know, what does it cost? I mean, it's not free.
No.
So
some of those things aren't cheap.
Yeah. So when they're mailing something to our houses, which, let's be honest, most of us look at for about 3 seconds and throw it out because it's useless or we have no need for it, whatever you want to call it. You know, don't we want to know how much that thing costs? Costs, is that the right word? Costs. I mean, it's and what he's proposing specifically, as I'm reading his email, is a state law that requires local governments to post all associated costs of each mailing. And further, this would allow all residents to view all the mailings sent by the local governments so they can judge for themselves whether the mailings are worthy of their costs. So it might come to be that there's a mailing that goes out that I think is a waste of money, and you might think it's worth the $4 million that the town spends, you know, and we might disagree. But at least we're disagreeing about something that's factual.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you, Felix Procacci, for sharing this with us, and it's part of our ongoing series to spread the word. And I always screw up Felix's webpage and his YouTube. I really shouldn't by this point, but it's the real.
Was it just the Fax Media, or?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was screwed up. Just the Fax Media.
Okay.
A terrific person, does a lot of work. This guy does his homework, and I got to tell you something. That town board in Hempstead is a fucking joke. Honestly, there's a Democrat on there and there's Republicans, whatever the hell they are. I don't know what they are, but I mean, I know what they are, but it doesn't matter their party. It's just the smugness and the attitude. They should all be thrown out, honestly. There's somebody new on that board. She was a former assemblywoman, Missy Miller. She seemed to be the most in tune when I was there a couple of days ago because she's also new. So right. I'm cautiously optimistic that she's going to be good. I hope and I even pray that she is. And I'll be the first person to say that she's, she's worthy of being on that town board. But you're talking about, I think they like to advertise as the largest township in the country. You know, this isn't a joke. And you've got that town supervisor who alternates between acting like a jester and an asshole. He goes back and forth, depends on who he's talking to. So Felix asks a question that he doesn't like, he acts like a jerk. Diane asks a question that he doesn't like, he acts like a jerk. If he knows you and he likes you, he wants to be your pal. Yeah. That's the MO. And then you got some other idiots on that board, and that's exactly the right word. With all due respect. Well, I hate when people say that because I'm not really respecting them. I don't respect them. You know, so there is no due respect because why should they earn my respect? You got Chris Carini, who thinks he's a tough guy, who's on the phone the entire meeting. On the entire meeting. I mean, Dennis Dunn should have retired probably about 15 years ago. Dorothy Gooseby is a senior councilwoman. That's a title, senior councilwoman, because they gave her that title because she's a minority and because she's been around for a long time and they're scared of her. That's what it is. There's no such thing as a senior council. What is that? You know, the fact that she's terrible and people in her own district don't like her or think that she's ineffective, she hates that. She hates that. And I'm kind of ranting a little bit. This isn't our rant session, but I'm sorry, that town board, I've only gone to a couple meetings. Other people have gone there for years and years and years, and I give them all the credit in the world. But all you have to do is go to one or two, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about tonight. So, Town of Hempstead, you deserve better. And if you're a Republican, fine, vote Republican, but vote for better Republicans. And if you're a Democrat, will be very, very, very depressed if you're a Democrat living in the town of Hempstead, because you cannot. The fact that you can't put anybody on that board is kind of pathetic, honestly. So that's my little non-rant for tonight. But I guess we've got bigger fish to fry in the world, so we'll leave it at that. So
yeah, hopefully we'll have better news next week with the whole Ukraine issue, and and other things. Will
to be continued, but another good show, Mike. Thank you so much, and for everything you do. And I'll forgive you for not hugging me.
Yeah, next time you're gonna get a hug like you've never. You're gonna get hugged like you've never been hugged, Ray.
Oh my God, that's a perfect way to end the show, Mike. I'm gonna be thinking about that in a few minutes.
Nice. All right, Ray. Have a good night. Thanks everybody. Thanks to our new followers and subscribers or whatever you do on our page and likes. What is it? Members, groups?
No, we gotta tell people, if you watch on Facebook, do us a favor and like us on YouTube. We'll maybe one day we'll earn some money from this thing, right? So if you can like us on YouTube, we think eventually after we get like 5 million views, we'll get like $50 or something like that. So
a reason why people aren't liking us yet on YouTube is because I never posted the link, I don't think. So I'll put that up so they can go.
Yeah, I have that. I was going to ask you because I think I missed. Okay, we'll talk.
Yeah. So we'll talk. Exactly. So good night, everybody, again, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Let me find out a little credits and let them roll. See ya. Good night.